Hey, what's up, Adam? Yeah, you know what this one is. It's this bad boy right here. I played it for, I don't know, 10 minutes yesterday, and I just learned the last, I think the last of the Jeff Taylor songs. This morning with it, and it sounds amazing. So I just wanted to mess around with it on here. And also, since I have a bag full of different sticks with different tips and different thicknesses and all that, I thought it would also be fun to listen to this cymbal with a bunch of different sticks and kind of compare what that does. So this is just a 5A hickory rebound ProMark with an acorn tip. Just a standard 5A. How does this one differ from the old world? It differs in a lot of ways. I'll show you. Totally different style. The bell, first of all, is small bell that kind of slopes a little bit differently. I don't know what technically that is, if that's an old A bell or what. It has the different lathing. Can you really see it? Different lathing style. More random, deeper hammering. The old worlds are kind of smoothed out. He kind of smooths over the hammering, so they really feel, big. The hammering is much smoother. Like it's been like, not maybe lathed over, I'm not sure. This is more pronounced, smaller hammering, deeper hammering. You can really see the stripes on the bottom side. Smaller bell, it's kind of loose. It's a medium thin, but it's kind of loose feeling. This is the Hawthorne series that he designed custom for Hawthorne Drum Shop. So it's sort of a Sentinel, but not really. It kind of fits what Chris wanted. He wanted something that felt soft and thin, but could stand up to hard hitting. Pin lathing, that's what it's called. I use these on I did a video, a duet with Brian Wolf on the Drum Factory Direct YouTube channel. He wrote a piece called Cusp. Turn these notifications off. He wrote a duet for him and I called Cusp, and I used the whole set of these. And do I turn notifications off? Anyway, I used the whole set of these, the 22, the 20, and the 15s. Well, Chris sold the 20 first, and then he just recently sold the 15s. So I reached out and was like, I want that 22. So I went over there yesterday and snagged it. And it's amazing. So it's different than the old world 22. The old world 22 I don't want to use with this project. It's not, like I need something a little bit more explosive. And this kind of does that. Like all the cymbal sounds for this Jeff Taylor kit, I want it to be kind of explosive and dark. And the 22 Old World was maybe a little bit too dry and pingy for this. So anyway, you can hear it. I'm gonna go to, also I added some other stuff. The last song that I was just working on has I think it might be the junk hat. Matt Johnson does something with the junk hat. I have a junk hat here, but I don't want to set up a remote hi-hat pedal. So I'm going to stack. So I have the dimple crash on the bottom, and I just put my 18-inch Old World on top. I don't know if I'll do the sizzle on it or not. That's kind of giving me there's this real aggressive kind of trash can sound on the record. So that's what this thing is over here. That's new. So I put the 20 over here, 18 is now just relegated to a stack on one song. I also picked up, these are all handmade stainless steel ching rings by a great young drummer here in Pittsburgh. He goes by Crafty Caden on Instagram. So there's round jingles, throwing star jingles, and then the one I picked up yesterday is this mega jingle thing. So I'm putting all three of them on my 16-inch hats here to give me that kind of trashy left foot sound, which is, again, all over the record, this kind of sound. It's sort of tambourine-y, but not as bright as a tambourine. Just realized yesterday I turned my preamps down because that bell brass was freaking loud. One second. All right, that should be a better level, just a little bit. I'm not going to use the electronic pad, which I had over here. I want to do all acoustic, so I'll grab my 12-inch solid. Is this Beach? I think it's Beach. 12. I have it over here for now. I think on the gig I'll put it on the left, but I'm using that to kind of replicate that sampled sound. If you recall, it was something like... So I'm going to use that to be kind of the sample sound. It's way, way far from the mic right now. That's why you can't hear it so much, but I'll probably put it right to the left of the detuned signature snare here. So it'll be 3 snare drums on this gig. Anyway, back to the cymbal. So this is a 22 Nicky Moon Hawthorne Series custom shop that I can't believe didn't sell. So I got it. And I'm kind of hitting it pretty darn hard, so it doesn't wash out. It's nice and thin and dark, but it doesn't wash out. What's up, Simon? Which I think has a lot to do with the profile and the smaller bell. Okay, that's a 5A, which is just kind of normal. Let's go to, what do I have? I'll just go in order of whatever's in my bag. This is a Bill Bruford stick. So it's a maple, much thinner, with a real small kind of barrel tip and a much more gradual taper, or less of a taper overall, which I love these sticks. Maple's softer, so it has like a softer attack, but the smaller bead makes it maybe a little more precise. That's the Bruford stick, which I use a lot for lower volume gigs. Carter McLean stick, which I love this stick. It's got a weird tip, but it feels like super perfect for me. When I was subbing for Carter, he just got these at the theater. So I was using them, several times a week when I would play the show. And I told him, I was like, they just feel transparent. My hands don't tire out. They're easy. I think, yeah, they're hickory. So here's the card. It's a beefier stick, but it plays a lot smaller. Here's the 5A. I don't know if I would call that darker. I feel like it's more articulate, easier, less vibrations to the fingers. Maybe. To me, it's just like perfectly balanced, so I don't feel like I'm fighting. When I have to play hard, it doesn't feel like it's wearing me out. When I have to play light, I don't feel like I'm having to choke it. It kind of just plays for me. So the 5A sounds much darker in that comparison. I have tried the Danny Carey sticks. Those things are tree trunks. I have no use for sticks that big. Big sticks like that, heavy sticks, they just wear me out. I would rather use a big light stick like the Todd Zuckerman, which I have in here. It's a big stick, but it's maple. I'd rather use that than a mammoth hickory stick. This is the Marco Miniman, small tip hickory. This is another one I use often. It's got like a thin taper, so it's pretty articulate. So the Marco Miniman is definitely more controlled, brings out less tone out of the cymbal, more point. Compared to the 5A, which kind of gets, the 5A kind of gets the whole stick humming. The Marco stick kind of is more pinpoint. Much more controlled. It is one of my favorite sticks. I don't know. It's kind of weird because these are the only ones that come in this sleeve. Out of the signature stuff I have, most of them come in this updated sleeve. So I don't know if this means it's old stock. I have no idea. But you might want to snag a pair or two before they disappear. I think there's got to be something comparable in the regular catalog, but that's the Marco Miniman with like a round tip and a more extreme taper for more control. This is the forward balance raw hickory 5A, which has, so it's got a less of a taper, more front heavy, and it's got a more of an oval tip. I don't know if that's technically called teardrop or whatever, but I think of this as an oval tip. I like the feel of the raw, personally. My hands tend to sweat, so the raw hickory I like. This feels obviously a little bit heavier. It feels like it's getting more sound with less effort. I guess it's a bit brighter too, but that's the forward 5A. And not something I would use for low volume playing, but maybe for more kind of medium and harder hitting. The Finesse 5A Maple, this is one of my all-time favorites. It's similar to the Marco Minimum, but it's made of maple. Round tip, very light. This is what I use on almost every gig when I have to play a range of dynamics. So even shoulder crashes don't fully activate, so this is a great option for control. So I love this stick. I use it often, and I use the long version as well. Sticks absorb vibrations of the fingers. Somebody makes an anti-vibe. Zildjian makes an anti-vibe. Might want to check that out. This is the Finesse 5B, so just a bigger version. Maple, round tip, long taper. I like this stick, so I like a bigger stick, but I need it to be light, like I was saying. So this is a good option for me. It's a big stick, it's lighter, it's a softer wood, so it's just not as loud. So I don't feel like I have to fight the sticks. Okay, what else do I got in here? The Elvin Jones. Very small, very thin, teardrop tip or oval tip, something of that sort. I love the sound of these, real articulate and controlled. I have a hard time, it wears my hands out. I have bigger than probably, not bigger, but fatter hands than most people. So I feel like my hands are kind of like doubling over on this stick, but I really like the sound of it. Play along the records. Best way to get your ride cymbal chops up. Play along the jazz records with just a cymbal and just try to keep time through the whole track. That's how I figured it out. I didn't practice this weird squid move. It was just a natural reaction. It was like, you know, sink or swim when I was playing along the records. Like, what do I got to do to make my hand relax? And everything just eventually figured it out. Simon, yeah, try those Finesse 5B maples if you like a bigger stick. It is a nice feeling stick. That's another Rebound 5A. I already got those out. What is this? Rebound 5B. Not going to do that. Will Kennedy stick. This is a weird one. Very long. So this is a 5A, and that's the. You can see the difference here. That's a big, long stick. It is the same diameter as a 5A, maybe a touch wider, with a much less. I mean, the taper is very gradual. And the tip is sort of like integrated. It's a weird stick. Very different than the original Will Kennedy signature stick, which I used all through college, which is basically like a slightly thicker but more tapered 5A. This is a big stick. Kind of sounds just like a 5A to me, and it plays like a 5A, and I feel like I can choke up more on it, which makes it maybe a little bit more balanced. But it's kind of wearing me out, so that would be used with caution. I guess the Yellow Jackets are playing louder now than back in the day. I'm not sure why he went with a bigger stick, but it's interesting. So the last one is this Todd Zuckerman I was talking about. So this is like this is probably pretty close to a 2B. Yeah, it's definitely bigger than a 5B. So it's pretty close to a 2B. What's the length on it? 16-inch length, but it's made of maple. And I think it has a more gradual taper. It's a really nice feeling stick. It's big, it's a 2B, but it feels really nice. So it feels really nice. It can't go as quiet as some of these others. So let's do like I'll try to play as quietly as I can, as fast as I can with this versus the, let's go with the Elvin Jones. So this will be the Zuckerman, as fast, as quiet as I can play, and then the Elvin. So much easier for me to play with the Zuckerman, but the articulation is by nowhere as near as clean as the Elvin. So then let's do the Finesse 5A, which is kind of my go-to. So I'll do the Zuckerman, quiet as I can again. And the Finesse 5A. So again, I think the Zuckerman feels better, but the tip is what does it. This is a big old acorn tip versus the kind of medium round. So this big old acorn tip is only going to get so quiet because there's just so much surface area and mass hitting the cymbal. I can just play a lot quieter. So I like maple sticks. That's the moral of the story. And then I just kind of go up in diameter depending on the volume of the gig most of the time. If it's something where I really need some durability, I know I'm going to be hitting, I'll go with like a Hickory 5A or maybe a 5B, just depending. But I change sticks all the time. I don't know about anyone else. I never use the same stick on purpose all the time. My bag always has different options. I mean, I know that Finesse 5A works for the, you know, the club band I play with here in Pittsburgh. But I also like the long version, or sometimes I'll use the 5A Rebound, or sometimes I'll use the Marco stick. So I'm always changing it up. I don't want my hand to get too comfortable with one stick. I mean, I wouldn't use a 2B on a cocktail jazz gig, and I wouldn't use the Elvin Jones on a modern rock gig, but everything kind of in between works. Red Hickory, that, who makes Red Hickory? Is that Los Cabos? And maybe Ogner? I used those for a while. They definitely are nice. They last. I also like the fire grain seems to last just a little bit longer. These regular 5As I've been smashing in here every day for a couple hours, and they're just starting to shred away a bit. Yeah, Los Cabos, very cool sticks. I had a whole bunch of those for a while. Yeah, so back to the 5A. forgot one other thing. Rather than putting tape on cymbals, which often have to do to control the sustain, I had a whole box of these, I don't know what the model of these are, but they're Cympad, damn it, foam things. That always happens, right? You drop it and it's like disappears. Where did it go? Oh, all right. It's a Cympad, like foam, basically, foam circle that's wider than a typical felt. So it ends up sitting a little bit wider under the bell, which does kind of the same thing as if you put some tape, gaffer's tape on it, rather than taping up everything and then having goo. Like this Dimple Crash had a whole bunch of tape on it from when I let Dave Throckmorton mess around with it, and it just wouldn't come off. Like there's still some goop on it. So I've been messing with these Cympads. I guess they're still available. They have a name for them. Like there's some that are really wide and some are really small. So they're just dampening the bell a little bit. So you can hear the bell isn't super bright. And I had the same size one on this 20. So that's an option. Have I ever used the Benny Greb cymbal tuners, I think they're called? They're just magnets. Yeah, but I don't really like the idea of having magnets. And if you hit them, they're probably going to fly off, so I'm not into that. If worst case scenario, I will just tape a freaking cymbal before I will buy a bunch of stuff. But I mean, you can use any kind of foam too. You don't have to buy Cympads. Any kind of just foam, like packing foam that comes with electronics or whatever. You can just put that, or a little piece of cloth under the bell. Man, I'm getting hit up like crazy. We'll do the same thing, because most of the volume of a cymbal generates from the bell. So rather than putting a bunch of tape out around the perimeter, if you control the bell, you kind of control the cymbal without killing it. That's why flat rides are quieter than regular rides. That's why mega bells are really freaking loud, because it's all generating from the bell. So try that. Try some foam under the bell before you start taping things. So these have the same Cympad sized thing, so that's controlled. You can hear a huge difference. This has a bigger, more pronounced bell. This has a smaller, more gradual bell. And it's much more integrated. The bell's more integrated into the cymbal sound. This one pokes out a bit more. Looks like this camera is overexposed. Or maybe it's just my eyes, but give me a second. All right, hopefully that's a little less assaulting. It's hard to get all these cameras balanced. They have different lenses, different quality lenses. These are two GH2s, those are GH5s, so I'm always battling to get the exposure. Like that one I think is maybe too bright. That one I think is correct. Even though they're all reading the same exposure on the camera. It's crazy. Anyway, so you can hear the bells are very different. Same manufacturer. It's all handmade by Nick Marguerite over at Nicky Moon, but it's just coming from a different profile. So this, much more kind of distinct bell, higher bell, bigger bell, versus this, which is much more sloped and smaller. And I think the profile on the Old World is a bit more extreme as well. This is a bit flatter. All right, so what else? Any questions or anything? Because I'm going to hop off and post the next Jeff Taylor song here, which I've recorded right before. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of it. I should probably feature my, oh, by the way, these are all available at Hawthorne Drum Shop as well. He does ship everywhere. And this is a DFD tambourine. These are super cheap. I can't remember the price, but it's like offensively cheap. 15 bucks or something. And we have a whole bunch of different styles. Yeah, that's the kit. If no other questions, I'm gonna just end it now so I can edit and post the performance. I don't think there's anything I missed. Oh, I think next week I will bring in, I know I talked about doing the Dinette bronze, so I'll do a Dinette bronze comparison to the bell brass. And there was some other, oh, I've got an 8x14 solid Cocobolo MCD that I love. I'll feature that. I definitely want to do a proper demo of my new Artist Series drum, which is now available at Bucks County Drums. And my Sage Series cymbals, which are what live in the main studio. That's what I use for recording almost exclusively. I haven't brought those in here, so we'll hear what the Sage Series sounds. But this is the new Nicky Moon Hawthorne Series. If you're interested in it, hit up Chris at Hawthorne. He's out of stock, but he could always get more made. They are exclusive to Hawthorne Drum Shop. If you want something similar to this, you could hit up Nick. It probably would be like a Sentinel series, medium thin 22. And that is all. So thank you all for logging in. I hope you have a great weekend. I'm going to be playing some festival gigs tonight and then on Monday. Other than that, I'll be chilling. So I'm going to go see the Pirates next week. So have a good one. I'll see you on Monday.